What's up, everybody? Alright, let's not do that again. What's up, everybody? Alright, that really gets the blood flowing. Manuel here. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a quick overview of the Canon AE-1 program for those of you just picking this up and maybe wondering how it works. A lot of this will also apply to the regular AE-1 with some minor differences. I won't go into too many details about what those are, but I will link to a great comparison video that goes into some detail. Before we jump into this though, I want to make some quick notes. This won't be a review, but as I do have one planned, please leave any questions in the comments below and I'll try my best to either answer you there or later in that upcoming review video. This is really more of a video manual, let's call it. I wanted to get this out of the way so any review I do doesn't devolve into how to shoot film 101. I like my reviews and tutorials on point, so I'm gonna give that a shot here. Anyways, on to the reason you clicked onto this video. To start things off, we're gonna talk about batteries. Yeah, the Canon AE-1 program needs one as it has an electronic shutter as well as a light meter that won't function without any power, meaning you won't be able to expose any film without one of these 6V batteries. I'll leave a link in the description on where to buy one, though your local camera store or eBay should have one. You'll find the battery door at the front of the camera next to these two small indents meant for battery grip. To open, you're going to use your fingers, or better yet, something sharp to disengage that small lock. After that, you'll grab your battery and positive side up, place it in the camera and close the door. You can turn the camera on by moving the switch on the right to the A position. When powered on, you can check your battery by holding down the small black button on the left, located just under your camera serial number. If it's ready to shoot, you'll hear some beeps, the frequency of which will depend on your battery level. Going back to that switch on the right, you'll notice some letters marked A, L, and S. A is what you want to be in when you're actually out shooting. Nothing special, just basically turns the camera on. Turning the switch to L will essentially lock or turn off the camera. This is great for when it's not in use to save some battery as well as to prevent any accidental firing, which I'm guilty of myself. Putting the switch into the S position will turn the camera into a self-timer mode with a 10-second delay. You activate this by pressing the shutter button, setting off a series of beeps that'll warn you when it's just about to take the shot. You can deactivate this by either setting the camera back to L or pressing the battery check button on the left. To load film into the camera, simply pull on the knob on the left until the front pops open. Oops, I have film in there. Your film will go from left to right onto the spool, but be sure to do this away from dust or light as you don't want to damage your film or dirty your camera. Also, special note, don't touch the shutter curtain, ever. Alright, okay. So you'll take the film canister with the leader out, spread it over the shutter window and onto the spool. Take a shot and cock the shutter to make sure the film has been caught onto the spool. You'll close your film door and take a few more shots until your count window reads 1. When you think you're good enough to load with your eyes closed, you should try loading up in the dark. You might be able to squeeze a few more frames out of your roll, though you're obviously taking some risks and half frames or not getting the shot at all. So caution if you do this. After your film is loaded, you'll want to set your ISO so your camera can meter accordingly. To do this, simply hold down the silver button on the rewind knob and turn until your desired ISO is selected by the green dot. To rewind spent film, press the small black button on the bottom and flip out the rewind lever. You'll turn the rewind lever in the direction of the arrow, seeing the shot counter counting down. You'll feel tension as you're turning the film until it's dislodged from the spool, but don't open the film door until your film is all the way into its canister. Onto lenses, you can remove one by pressing the silver tab at the bottom before turning the lens counterclockwise. The Canon AE-1 program will take all Canon FD mount lenses. Awesome glass, which fortunately won't work on any EOS mount cameras without an adapter. I say fortunately because this makes a lot of these gems incredibly cheap. At least compared to Nikon glass, which uses the same F mount. Back to Canon though. You'll mount your lens by lining up the red dot on the side of the lens to the one on the camera body. Just gently push these two together and then turn until you hear a click. If you did this right, you'll be able to use the depth of field preview slide on the left. This will allow you to preview what you have in focus on the aperture you selected, but it's also a great way of checking if new lenses are responding appropriately to the apertures you selected. Alright, onto some actual shooting and features. The Canon AE-1 program features a fully automatic mode where you literally just point and shoot. Awesome if you're just a beginner and want to get some practice at focusing and composition. If you do this though, you're going to run into some issues with backlighting. It'll throw your exposure off when the sun is like directly behind your subject or what you want to photograph. To combat this, use the exposure lock on the left of the camera while pointing at the shadows to lock in that exposure and then focus in on your subject. This camera doesn't have an aperture priority, but it does have a shutter priority, which you can set by using your lens's automatic mode right there, which is the letter A. On the subject of metering, the program version of the Canon AE-1 offers something of a LED meter on the inside of the viewfinder. You'll only be able to see what aperture is suggested on the line though. You won't see what your current shutter speed or aperture is. It'll flash on the high end when you're overexposed and at the bottom end when you're underexposed. As this is a manual focus camera, you'll have your standard split prism screen that'll aid with nailing that focus. If you don't like it though, you can switch it out. The manual does state you need a special tool, though I've been able to take it out with just my fingers. All in all, this is a pretty safe and cheap starter camera for those of you just looking to get into film photography, or maybe if you're just looking for a nice backup film camera. I've used and purchased several different types and models after this one, including the Nikon F100 and F3. But you'll see in a lot of my past videos I featured this camera simply because I'm so comfortable with it and I know I can count on it. I'm already on my second F100 and my F3 seems to have this issue where it'll just jam up on me mid-roll. Not the case at all with this AE-1. I also don't or have ever felt the urge to upgrade to the A1 since film photography isn't like digital where you upgrade for better sensors or capabilities. These are just literally light boxes with shutter speeds after all. It really comes down to the glass, emulsion, and the shooter. Now for some issues with this camera I haven't seen brought up in other reviews, just to tease my future video, starting with that infamous shutter squeal. You'll know it when you hear it. A lot of these cameras have this issue and you can find YouTube videos on DIY fixes if you can afford the CLA to take care of that problem. Some owners have said this squeal has delayed their shutter a bit, while others have said it really hasn't affected their shooting at all. I haven't had that problem with this version or the one I bought more recently, so I can't really say what's the best fix or if it'll affect the photos. What I've had happen with this camera is the bottom screws coming loose, which almost had me losing the entire base plate of the camera a couple of times on this first silver version. I haven't had it happen with this camera, so again, it might just be this one. But just in case this happens to you, the way I solved it is by just sticking some painter's tape just over the screws so they don't come loose since they're pretty hard to come by. Anyways, that's it for my overview of this camera. I know it wasn't too flashy, but I wanted to make something straight to the point and get the tutorial out of the way so I could actually prep for a full review. I hope this has helped you figuring out the basics of your camera, though nothing really beats learned experience, so go out there and shoot. Please consider liking this video, subscribing if you haven't, and hitting that notification button since we know YouTube's algorithm sucks. Also, again, I do have a review video planned, so if you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. I'll try answering it and including it in the video. Until the next one, keep chasing that light.